Who is the best Minecraft PvPer? This is a question that has been debated for ever since the game came out. There never really has been a consensus on who is the best. There's AntVenom, the person who won the first big Minecraft Hunger Games. There's Bajan Canadian and Jerome ASF, who are known for their Hunger Games series, and Existorio and Huahwi, who are known for their UHC series. There's Danteh, who is the first person to reach 2800 ELO on Build UHC, but that's a whole nother video. Recently, Technoblade has been appearing more and more as the best Minecraft PvPer due to his wins in Minecraft Monday and accomplishments in Hypixel Blitz SG, Skywars, and Bed Wars. But today I am here to give another person who I think deserves the title of the best Minecraft PvPer, someone you probably have never heard of. That person is Jdegoederen, one of the best UHC players of all time. Before we can talk about Jdegoederen, we need to talk about competitive Minecraft. Across Minecraft, there are dozens of competitive games, both PvP and non-PvP. However, none have evolved more than Ultra Hardcore, or UHC for short. Minecraft UHC, invented by Good Boulderfist and the Mindcrack, takes Minecraft and adds 2 extra rules. You cannot respawn if you die, and you cannot regenerate health. The only way you can regenerate health is through the use of golden apples and potions, the latter of which is usually banned as well. That means if you get poisoned by a cave spider and get down to half a heart, you must use 32 gold and 4 apples to almost get back up to full health. Good gathered 3 of his friends to record themselves trying the challenge back in February of 2012. While the original series only lasted 5 episodes before everyone died, the second series was a success, and Good had killed the Ender Dragon under the UHC rules. When playing the second season, Good and his friends realized that UHC would make for a cool PvP competition. So in Season 3, a new permanent rule was added: be the last player or team standing. UHC evolved a lot over the Minecraft series. In Season 3, a lot of people didn't even mine full iron, hardly anyone found diamonds, and there were only 2 actual player kills, and the rest died from mobs or the environment. As the seasons went on, however, the players started getting better at the game. There was less and less PvE deaths, and more people mining better and better, and learning new strategies to help them out. Instead of building a house and fishing for food, people need to kill cows and chickens as they not only give food, but also leather and feathers. Once more and more people start finding diamonds, the enchantment table is brought in as a new strategy instead of going for a diamond sword right away. In Minecraft UHC Season 10, MC Gamer and Pause on Pause were the first people to get a full set of diamond armor in UHC, and something that would continue to rarely be seen in the original series. However, UHC was evolving much more outside of Minecraft. After the success of Minecraft UHC, people quickly rushed to make their own versions of UHC. People like Grazer10 would start recorded rounds, which are private games of UHC recorded with their friends similar to how the Minecraft made theirs. Other people would host public games through Reddit and Twitter, where anyone could join any game. Not only were UHCs becoming more and more prevalent, but the gameplay was evolving as well. People would make fishing rods to combo people better, and download texture packs to the outlined ores to spot them more easily. Many different game modes were also invented to make UHC go much quicker. Cut Clean was a game mode that auto-smelt all ores, flint, and food. Time Bomb made it so that when you die, all your items go into a chest. Many servers also made it easier to find diamonds and apples. and you would start off with some cooked steak in case you spawned in the desert and couldn't get food. Game modes like these made UHC go from a 3-hour long game to a 1 to 2 hour game. That relatively short game length also made you move much faster. Back in 2012, mining full diamond was unheard of. Now in 2016, if you weren't mining at least 3/4 diamond plus sharpness 3 sword, you had no shot at winning. Not only that, but the player count got bigger and bigger. The first Minecraft UHC that was a competition had 8 players. Grazer 10's Cube UHC in 2014 and other recorded rounds would regularly have triple that amount of 24 players. Public UHCs in 2016 would have 10 times that, averaging 200 to 300 players per game. In Skywars, you have a 1 in 12 chance of winning. In survival games, you have twice that with a 1 in 24 chance. In UHC, you have 10 times that with a 1 in 240 chance of winning. What was once a casual game was quickly turned into the sweatiest game on Minecraft, and hundreds of inspiring YouTubers sprung up during this time to show off to the world their skills at this game. One of those inspiring YouTubers was Jdegoederen. Jdegoederen, also known as Shant, was a kid living in the Netherlands who would regularly play Minecraft games like duels, survival games, and UHC. He made his YouTube channel on July 9th, 2015, and uploaded his first public video on August 3rd of that same year, called MCSG1. However, in his first video, he talks about how he made a new channel to get a new PC, so it is possible he had made more videos in the past. His first UHC highlights video would be uploaded 2 months later on October 18th, and UHC highlights would quickly begin to take over his channel. On November 1st, Shant would release his texture pack Shant Pack V1 to celebrate 200 subscribers. Not only had he gained 200 subscribers in just a few months, his Shant Pack series would go on to be his most popular series on the channel. His Shant Pack V4 video he would release almost a year later would become his most popular video and get downloaded 300,000 times in the first year alone. He would continue to grind out UHC and survival games videos for the next few months, and a few thousand views a video. His first big break would come in February 7th, 2016, in the form of a Build UHC video. Build UHC is a type of duel where you spawn in with all the gear you would normally have in a game of UHC, including enchanted diamond armor, sword, bow, fishing rod, lava and water bucket, golden apples, and a few stacks of blocks. In Shant's Build UHC video, he became the first European to reach 2600 ELO on Build UHC, and was ranked 3rd worldwide at the end of the year. This video would boost his channel a little bit, but his real boost came 4 months later when he uploaded a video simply titled UHC Fall Trap. Today, trapping videos for UHC are a dime a dozen, and you've probably seen Fruit Berries, Mydoza, and others trapping Hypixel UHC if you are watching this video. However, this was early 2016. Trapping in UHC was pretty much unheard of and considered a joke. Jdegoederen changed all that when he managed to trap dozens of people, including prominent UHC streamer ZMC Nikolai. This video also blew up on his channel, and became one of his most popular videos. To this day, if you search UHC Fall Trap on YouTube, his video is the first video that comes up. This was big not only for Jdegoederen but also for UHC as a whole, as trapping would start to become more and more popular in the UHC community. So now Shant was doing pretty well for himself. In 1 year, he had established himself as one of the up-and-coming UHC channels on YouTube, with videos like the Fall Trap and the Shant Pack. However, Shant was about to get one more boost with the help of Mexican YouTuber and Twitch streamer giant Dead Rebel.
¿Lo escucharon, gente? ¿Vieron el nombre? ¿Vieron el nombre? ¡No! 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 ¡Las arañas atacan! ¡Las arañas atacan! ¡No!
This is is Jdegoederen, also known as Just Dead. He is one of the biggest Mexican online personalities. As I'm recording this video, he is the 35th most followed streamer on Twitch, and the biggest streamer in Mexico. His YouTube channel is massively successful as well, with 5 million subscribers and averaging millions of views a video. He is huge, and unlike a lot of other huge YouTubers who use their power for evil, in 2016, Dead decided to use his power for good when he created UHC Elite. Up to this point, there hasn't been a real organized UHC league, like other games like Overwatch and CSGO. The only measure of how good people were how high they were on the leaderboards, how many wins, kills, etc. a player had. Dead set out to change this by creating his own tournament where the best of the best would compete in a UHC match to crown a single champion. How UHC Elite worked is that if you were a Minecraft UHC streamer that was decently big and really good at UHC, you would get called up to play in a qualifier round for your country or continent. The winner in person with the most kills would then move on to the second round of Mundial. UHC Mundial was the Super Bowl of UHC. If you won that one game, you're one of the best to ever play. The journey there was tough. You'd have to place pretty high in the first game to even make it on. Then you'd have to beat the best of the best from countries around the globe to take home the prize. Due to Jdegoederen's skill in the game and his recent growth in popularity, Dead contacted him for UHC EU Elite. He would be playing for his home country of the Netherlands. For him to move on, you'd have to outlast and outkill some of the best in his nation, alongside playing against the best in a dozen other nations across Europe, including ZMC Nikolai, Mentally, Basti GHG, Danny, Gwep, Marky Locarez, and more. Not only were they all very good at Minecraft, but they were all much more popular than him. Shant was entering the game as an underdog, but he soon proved that he should never be underestimated. Shant had done it. He had won the first ever EU Elite. Not only that, but he had won it with 7 kills, which was a little less than 1/4 of the players playing. Person in second place, Mori Outplay, only had 2 kills. Despite this insane victory, the event would be overshadowed by NA Elite, where the 2 of the biggest American UHC streamers at that time, Tyler's and Exesorio, would face off against each other in the final 2. And they would double kill, a rare occurrence in all of gaming where both players hit each other at the exact same time, so that both of them die. And the only way to decide a winner is a 50-50 shot of whose name appears first in the chat. But the excitement of that game was nothing compared to the hype around UHC Mundial. At long last, a best in the world would be crowned. However, this Mundial was a little bit different than every previous and future elite. This Mundial was a team of 2 game, meaning that people were not just running around solo. You had to look out for both you and your teammate, and if one of you died, it was very likely that the other teammate would fall right after. Shan's teammate was AntVenom, a small streamer from Sweden. The two would compete against not just the best Europe had to offer, but the best Earth had to offer. They had to play against returning champions ZMC Nikolai mentally, American champions Existorio and Tylers, Mexican champions Elias One and Roberto, and many others from around the globe. Not only that, but Shant had to deal with the pressure of already winning the EU Elite, representing not only his home country of Netherlands, but also Sweden and all of Scandinavia. If Shant won, he'd be the best in the world. If he lost, while he would still be a good player, he wouldn't be the best. Jdegoederen and AntVenom had won UHC Mundial. They had become one of the best players in the world. However, even before the tournament had ended, there was already controversy. Shant and AntVenom had cleaned up a fight between 2 solos, ZMC Nikolai and the Best Ginger 13. Meaning that just before they were about to finish their fight, Shant and AntVenom hit them both once for the kill. Their fans had then attacked them online after the game was over. Not only that, but a lot of the Spanish community had also jumped on the hate bandwagon against Shant and AntVenom. The highlights video Jdegoederen made had a 2-to-1 like to dislike ratio, a response that was rarely seen in the community at that time. Shant later apologized for it in the description of the video, saying it was a scummy thing to do, although the winner of the fight probably would have died anyway, and nobody had ever said that cleaning wasn't allowed. That didn't stop everyone from calling them cleaners and disliking his videos. Dislikes I think were undeserved. Here's the thing about cleaners in UHC. Everyone cleans. It may be a scummy thing to do, but everyone still does it since they want to do whatever it takes to win. Not only that, but Shant was cleaned twice in his original UHC EU Elite video. One was at the final 2 after he killed Arizona, where Mori ran at him immediately after Shant had won the fight. The other time was after he killed Mentally, where ZMC Nikolai, the person Shant cleaned in UHC Elite, jumped on him right after he had won the fight. The only difference between these 2 cleans and Shant's clean is that Shant's clean actually worked, while Nikolai and Mori failed. So blaming AntVenom on Shant's win on them cleaning is just stupid, because cleaning is just part of the game. People cleaned before this Mundial, and people would continue to clean after it. That didn't stop hundreds of people attacking Shant though. Nevertheless, Jdegoederen continued on playing UHC, and he had hit 10,000 subscribers around this time. He was also invited back for Season 2 of EU Elite, but this time things were different. Shant wasn't entering as an ordinary player. This time he was entering as a returning champion. It would be much harder to succeed now that everyone knew he was a threat. He wasn't having much luck this time either. He fell into lava around 30 minutes in, and just barely was able to make it out alive. He also was getting bad enchants on his armor. Not only that, but the other returning champion, AntVenom, died early on to a player named Edvin, who was competing for the same spot Shant was competing for. Shant was going to have to step up his game to have a chance at Mundial, and thankfully he did. By the 80-minute mark, he had made an entirely new set of diamond armor, enchanted with protection 2 and a sharpness 4 diamond sword. All he had to do now is get some kills and win. Jdegoederen was once again in the final 2 of EU Elite, alongside Rex5826. This fight shouldn't have been extraordinary. No matter what, both of the final 2 would get to move on to Mundial, so there isn't any real motivation to go full tryhard in this fight. However, Shant had other plans.
GG everyone. I can win this.
Shant had Obsidian trapped Rex. Nowadays, you see this move done in almost every UHC. If you watch a Wisp or Speed Silver video, you will likely run into an Obsidian trap within 20 minutes. This was 2017 on Badline in the most prestigious Minecraft tournament ever. You rarely saw people ever do this back in 2017. Let alone on Badline, where the meta was to mine for an hour to get a really good sword, and try to click as fast as humanly possible. Half of the people didn't even make bows, so suffocating people was out of the question, wanting to succeed in the game. And yet, here Jdegoederen was, in the final 2 of EU Elite, and he had Obsidian trapped his final opponent for the 3rd consecutive win in a row. He did end up blowing Rex out of the Obsidian trap, as he considered it a scummy way to win. That ultimately didn't matter, as Shant would still kill Rex if healing to spare. Shant was going to UHC Mundial again. Again, he'd have to fight and mine his hardest to get to the top. Everyone knew he had won the previous 3 elites he was in. Would his winning streak continue, or would he lose his title as champion? 50 minutes into Mundial, and Shant was having even worse luck than last time. He had barely found any diamonds and could only make an enchantment table. His run seemed to be over when Twix, a player competing for Guatemala, was in his cave with half diamond armor and enchants, while Shant hadn't even enchanted his iron armor. It looked to be the end for Shant. He would most likely die here, in the cave, surrendering his champion title to whatever player came out on top. That is, unless he could pull out a miracle. The comeback was alive. Even though he was heavily outgeared, Shant had gotten his first kill of the game. By meetup, he was able to mine back up to full diamond armor. As usual, all Shant had to do now was outscale his opponents for the title. For the fourth time in a row, he found himself in the final two. He had outlasted not only everybody in his home country of the Netherlands, but also everyone else in Europe. His opponent, Pacoima, was a small streamer from America who had won the NA Elite prior to this event. It was going to be the best North America had to offer against the best Europe had to offer. It was going to be a showdown for the ages. Jdegoederen had won UHC Elite 4 times in a row. He had won EU Elite Season 1, Mondial Season 2, EU Elite Season 2, and Mondial Season 3. Every Elite he had been in, he had won. I don't think I can explain just how insane this really was. You see, UHC as a competitive game is actually really bad. The first hour is 100% luck based. If you aren't able to find diamonds, gold, apples, leather, lava, whatever, you don't have a high chance of being able to go very far. If any one of those goes wrong, you are most likely not going to win. Not only that, but things like how much healing you have, what enchantments are on your armor, and if you have any spare pieces to replace your armor in the event that it breaks become crucial in winning the game. If you waste all your healing on one fight, you are basically dead. If an armor piece breaks in the middle of your fight, you must replace it as soon as you can, as even if you are winning the fight, your opponent can use that as an opportunity to go all in on you. There is always the ability that you can pull out a combo and make it come from behind victory, but those cases are rare. When it does happen, it's a pretty big deal. For 99% of people in a UHC match, something will go wrong. That's just how a game of 30 to 60 people with only one winner goes. For Jdegoederen to have relatively nothing go wrong in not just any 4 games, but the 4 most important games he had ever played is insane. Especially when you compare Shant to other streamers who were in the event like HAFTM. In his first EU Elite, HAFTM was unable to get any kills, but he did make it to the final 5, so he got to move on to Mondial. In Mondial, he was able to win with Jdegoederen with quite a few kills. However, in his second EU Elite, he died early on after getting jumped in a cave. Because of this, he was unable to compete in Mondial. However, he still participated in the next EU Elite, where he would do pretty well and get a few kills, ultimately going out around the top 10. In the same number of Elites, Shant had won every game he played. He was incredibly skilled in the game, and could take pretty much anybody in a fair fight, but he had a good amount of luck to help him out, too. Sadly, his good luck was about to end.
Oh, I'm actually dead.
I managed to get in chance. We're dying.
Jdegoederen had finally lost his first UHC Elite. He didn't just lose it either. He was the very first person to die. However, how much of that was really his fault? He was outgeared in a cave surrounded by lava. There isn't that much you can do in that situation. Maybe sometimes you could knock your opponent into lava, but for Shant this is not one of those times. However, Shant would get another chance. Since he was the winner of the previous Mondial, he would get a VIP pass to any elite he wanted in on. This season of Mondial, there would be 2 EU elites. He would just quickly recover his reputation that he had kinda lost in the previous game. Even if he didn't win, As long as he showed up at meetup in full diamond 80 minutes into the game, he would be fine.
Chicken jockey.
I got 50 beef. That's so much bit of drama for me.
Oh!
He died to a zombie, not a player. Not even fallen in lava or something like that. He died to a zombie, who was once one of the best UHC players in all of Minecraft, was now dying to PvE 15 minutes into a game. He had taken a long fall from where he was just a few months earlier. The only upside was that he was still invited to play Mundial as the reigning champion, but he didn't have that much success. While he had mined full diamond armor and enchants, he died to the first person he fought. This was the end of Jdegoederen's reign of terror over UHC Elite. People could actually beat him now, whether that be zombies or players. It wasn't all bad though. Around the time of these elites, Shant had hit 50,000 subscribers, a number that I think many of us will never even get close to hitting. He was also making videos with YouTubers that he had previously looked up to, such as CMC Nikolai and Existorio. Who cares if he wasn't winning a stupid tournament put on by one of the biggest streamers on Twitch? He was still doing well either way. Even still, there would always be another UHC Elite he could join, and sooner than later, UHC Elite League started up. UHC Elite League was much different than UHC Elite. While Elite did focus on having the best of the best compete against each other, it was also invite only. If you weren't on Dead or an organizer's radar, there would be no chance of you getting in. Elite League changed that. All you had to do to get in was to fill out an application to join. You would then be able to play in 7 games of UHC to decide who makes it to Mundial. If you got a kill, you would gain a point. If you won a game, you would gain 10 points. The top 25 point getters would move on to Mundial. It's just gonna be an elite like no other, with virtually anyone being allowed to play. Games are going to become much bigger and sweatier. It was commonplace to see people cross-teaming, killing themselves so other people didn't get the kill, throwing away all their armor and golden apples and fire just before they died so the killer wouldn't get any healing. And just really toxic behavior in every game. It was gonna be tough for any player to win, even an experienced UHC veteran like Jdegoederen. However, if anyone was able to step up to the challenge, it would be Shant. Shant was in his final game. He had gotten 10 kills in previous games already, enough points to make it into Mundial. However, he barely had any healing left. He had 6 golden apples and 1 golden head. and the person he was fighting had 36 golden apples and 2 golden heads, along with just better overall armor and sword. Not only that, but his opponent was Halfdom, the person he had teamed with and won all the way back in his first Mundial. There is no shot of him winning this, and the attempt would be futile. Even though he didn't win the fight, Jdegoederen still dominated it. With 1/6 of the heal and Halfdom had, and worse armor, he made Halfdom use 30 of his 36 golden apples. While he lost the fight, Shant had clearly asserted himself as the better PvPer, and he would get the chance to redeem himself in the next Mundial, but the pressure was on. Dead had announced that this Mundial would be his last, and it was likely that Elite would just end after Dead had left. Shant would only have one more chance to ascend to his UHC throne again. It wasn't going to be easy. His competition was going to be tough as ever. Previous EU and Mundial winners Marky Locrez and Reb were playing, along with other veteran players like Elias, Hasvik, Divine Zizun, and Tincho plays. Not only that, but Shant would have to face off against the only person who had won 2 games in Elite League, Brokin. Once again, Shant was up against some of the best players UHC had ever seen. Would he fall again like his previous Aldens, or could he rise to the top and prevail in the face of adversity? While he was mining, Shant was poisoned twice by a cave spider. 5 years ago, this would have been the end of any player's run. But now, it was just minor inconvenience for Shant. He was able to come back and he made it all the way to the final 6, although he hadn't killed anyone yet. His first fight would be against Halfdom, his former teammate. The winner of this match would move on to the final 2. Unlike their last encounter, Shant prevailed. He was in the final 2 yet again. He had come a long way in the few years he had been playing. He started out as just a regular UHC YouTuber. He had a few lucky videos that put him on Dead Revel's radar to invite him to UHC Elite. He had won 4 of those in a row, but had a major setback with early deaths in future games. Now he was back where he originally was. His last opponent was Brokin, the guy who had won 2 of the league games and had gotten the most points overall. This is going to be one of the toughest fights he had ever fought. Jdegoederen had reclaimed the Mundial title. This was his third Mundial win and fifth Elite win. The only other people to have won a Mundial was Rebident, ZMC Nikolai, and Mentally. The latter two won it before the playing for your country aspect was brought in. Shan had accomplished a lot in his UHC Elite career, but sadly, that gave the ownership of Elite away to streamers Touchspeed and the owner of Badline, Archibot. The event was put on hiatus for a few months, eventually returning in late 2018. Although the event was nowhere near as popular as it once was, many of the former players had quit Minecraft at this time for other games like Fortnite, and many more had just quit YouTube entirely, including Jdegoederen. He had uploaded his last video by the time the next EU Elite came around. While he was listed on the list of players in the game, I couldn't actually find proof he showed up to the event. It wouldn't matter too much anyway, as Elite had unofficially ended after that game, and the Twitter account went dark. So that is the story of Jdegoederen, who I believe to be the best PvPer of all time. He won 4 of the most competitive tournaments to ever occur in Minecraft in a row, and then came back for the last one for his 5th victory. However, there's one more thing about Jdegoederen I want to showcase. While his complete dominance in UHC Elite was very impressive, restricting Jdegoederen's accomplishments to just that one event would be undermining how good of a player Jdegoederen was. Shan didn't just dominate one tournament for one game mode, he dominated almost every PvP competition he was in. be wondering where Jdegoederen is now. Well, the UHC on their Season 8 video was the last public video ever on his channel. He has abandoned his Twitch channel as well, but his Twitter still seems somewhat active. He doesn't seem to show any intention of returning to Minecraft or UHC. That may be for the better. UHC right now is a mess, and is separated into 3 main groups. You have Randomizer UHC, which is being led by ex-Nestorio and former members of the Cube. While they are all more popular than ever, their content has drifted away towards sweaty combat and more towards flashy clickbait for kids. There is the Hypixel UHC community, which is in shambles and has been for years. Hackers plague this community, and despite numerous acknowledgements from admins, the game doesn't seem to be anywhere close to fixed. The other group is everyone else, people who have stuck to the old version of UHC. The people who play in this group hop around on different servers like Arctic, Lunar, and other smaller servers. A few of the people who are in Elite, like ZMC Nikolai and Mentally, play here. But most of the community is made up of smaller streamers like Zamtrios, Nightbot, and Loda. This group is probably the closest to being like the old UHC Elite, and there have been similar events started like the Lunar Showdown and Nana UHC, but none of them have been anywhere near as big as UHC Elite. While Jdegoederen could technically return to any one of these groups, it is probably better that he doesn't, if he stays retired, and would cement his legacy as one of the best to ever pick up a mouse and keyboard and play Minecraft. Is Jdegoederen the best PvPer of all time? Well, I think he is. That isn't the main point I'm trying to make. My point is that competitive Minecraft with good PvPers can be as fun to watch as any other competitive game. While it may not be as organized, looking through competitive Minecraft's history, there are dozens of memorable moments throughout different tournaments and game modes.
Así es justo, güey. Harvick ganó la temporada bastante bien, güey. Aparte va con 3 kills. Lo está haciendo bien Elías, güey. Capaz si lo mata, güey. Gana. Ok. Sí, ganaste. Te chingas a Harvick y ganaste. Harvick tiene 9 laps.
The only thing it is missing is a big audience to support it. But that audience is growing more and more each day. And sooner than later, another big tournament with actual PvPers will start up. A few weeks ago, Marky Locarez hosted his own UHC Elite for Spain, and while of recording this video there hasn't been any more confirmed, I'll be following this revival every step of the way, and I hope you will too.